Hello, week 6 here of Agriculture Business Management. I just wanted to reach out and touch base a little bit. There's a couple of things one of the things I wanted to talk about was the discussion for this week, asking you to start thinking about a couple of different things you'll need in your career, and there's been a few responses to that already. One of those is a farm friend that I work with and colleague at the college, John Prisky, talks about having his management team. He and his wife are they're the owners of their farm and always have been, but they have a group of trusted advisors that they bring in to help make decisions. And so that's what I want you to start thinking about with that. In the resource tab, I put in some resource agencies that you might want to have as members on that team. John and Dorothy also talked about including people like your banker and your veterinarian if you're an animal person, and they have their accountant, and you might have an agronomist or a soil scientist that helps you, or a feed management, a nutritionist for your animals. All these people are part of that management team that help you make decisions on your farm, and just want to start thinking about those resources. Take a look at that. This on the resource tab, and you can find some ideas that I've put out there on that. The other one is beyond this course, you're probably going to want to figure out a way to have an educational plan for throughout your career. Farming is something that is people never stop learning, and there's a fair amount of science and knowledge that goes into it, but there's a lot of opportunity to practice new things too that go along with that. So thinking about where that fits, for those of you that are into animals and into managed grazing in particular, there's a number of grazing networks around the state. I've made a whole list of different places, different things that have conferences and groups and do educational resources that I came up with in just a few minutes of time last week. And there's also, I added in some other educational resources for you to keep an eye on here at our college with our Entrepreneurship Center. We're doing some work in agriculture, and so we'll be developing and putting out different opportunities like seminars and smaller, more specific to particular topic type educational resources. But those are just a list of things that I came up with. By all means, you should find your own, but that's what I'm talking about with those kind of things, so you can use those resources. Yesterday, I guess, speaking of a pasture walk, I had a chance to go out and do a pasture walk myself, and some of the things that were there that we got to look at, the NRCS has developed this, it's a rainfall simulator to look at different farming practices and talking about soil health and how to build a diversified cropping system that actually is rehabilitating the soil, and that was one of the things that was talked about at that one. Whoops, went a little quick. We got to see how the farmer manages several different meat type animals as well as eggs on their farm, and so we saw how he manages beef cattle. They're converting, this is a converted dairy farm of just a few years ago. They started they moved to a beef production when the son came back into the operation with some new ideas on how he wanted to manage that farm, and Dad was able to help him out and move forward with that. One of the other things they were doing is starting an agroforestry type project, so we saw where he had planted his trees. There's a variety of different trees that were out here, as well as right here in the corner you can see the pigs, and he also has sheep that they graze through here, as well as the cattle in the outside parts of it. But the point is, he's sharing how he had developed this farming practice and how things were working and what things he's finding that are challenging, and a number of different opportunities that he's coming into as far as creating markets for the meat, for the pigs and sheep, and as chickens as well. I don't have a picture of that, but the whole idea is that you're learning from each other, from another farmer that's actively producing and out there trying a lot of things, and sometimes making a mistake. I don't have a picture of it, but while we were standing here, 4 of his pigs came wandering up this aisle here and got out of the fence. So what do you do with pigs that know, or any animals that know how to get out of their fenced-in system? Well, you probably have to make a decision that maybe you don't want those kind of behaviors in your breeding stock, and that might be an opportunity to move them out. Another thing that was out, this wasn't at a pasture walk, but there's a place near my house that uses goats as a restoration tool. So some of you that don't have land but you're interested in getting into animals, this could be an opportunity to think about, maybe starting out with something like using goats, or there are cattle that can be used for restoration tools, and there's a number of people that are looking for ways to restore their land and get rid of the woody vegetation. This is a pretty low cost purchase to buy this fence line, but you can go and see whoops, sorry about that. You can see how they had to set up the fence line and what the materials look like there, and then how the goats are doing. The goats are up here and the woody vegetation is starting to clear out in those areas. But the idea, I guess, is, think about, you don't have to come up with all these things on your own. Get out there and visit other farms. Most farmers are more than willing to talk to you. So even if you're trying to come up with some ideas and you can't get to, your family farm that often, maybe there's a farmer nearby that's trying something, or check out your local extension office or somebody like that, your NRCS or land conservation office. They may be doing educational workshops with local farmers as well, that you can go and take a look at what they're doing and how those practices are working on their farms, and maybe get some ideas of what to bring in for yourself. I guess that's the point of these. So start thinking about those, and we will talk to you again soon.